Had you ever found yourself saying thank you? Almost on autopilot,
Oh, yeah. All the time.
like at the coffee shop,
Yeah.
right? Or someone holds a door.
Yeah.
It just kind of comes out. Automatic, polite, super fast.
Mm-hmm.
But do you truly feel it? Like every single time, deep down.
Probably not every time, if I'm being honest. It becomes habit.
Right. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something related, the power of gratitude.
Okay.
And the sources we've looked at, they really challenge that common idea
Yeah.
that gratitude is just, a reaction, something that happens after good fortune.
Right. Like a bonus feeling.
Exactly. Instead, they propose it has this much more profound, transformative role.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is to unpack how gratitude isn't just about feeling good temporarily. It's maybe a tool for enhancing your focus, your sense of peace, even your personal growth.
That sounds interesting.
And here's where it gets really interesting, actually. Our sources even hint at these surprising connections, like how cultivating this deeper gratitude might make even challenging skills, say, learning a new language, feel face, well, easier to hold on to.
Okay, that is surprising. So it flips the script a bit.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, what's fascinating here, based on the research, is how it kind of flips our usual understanding. Gratitude isn't just what comes after the good thing happens. It's
Right.
actually what helps you see what's good in the first place.
Ah, okay. So it changes your perception beforehand.
Exactly. Think of it like putting on a new pair of glasses. That's an analogy used.
Mhm.
But, not the kind that make everything super sharp. More like the kind that help you see beauty in the blur.
Beauty in the blur. Like, wow.
Like the quiet calm of a morning, maybe. Or just the sound of rain hitting the roof.
Ah, okay. The small stuff we usually ignore.
Precisely. Those moments are always there, right? But without this gratitude lens, they often just poof, disappear from our awareness.
Okay, I see.
And look, this isn't described as magic or anything, not at all. When we connect this to the bigger picture, it's framed as a practice.
A practice.
Yeah, a fundamental way of looking at the world. And it can shift your internal state even when, your external circumstances don't change one bit.
So same situation, different feeling inside.
Exactly. You could be in the same room, facing the same old challenges, but with this perspective, the air just feels a bit lighter. Maybe your heart feels less tight. Your breathing might even slow down.
Wow.
It's actually quite remarkable how the body seems to respond to that mental shift.
So, okay, if gratitude isn't just this polite habit or only for perfect moments, what is this deeper gratitude then? And more importantly, how can we genuinely cultivate it? How do we get those real, tangible benefits in our daily lives?
Right.
Our sources dive into that. What are some of the first practical steps they emphasize?
Well, a big one the research highlights again and again is what they sometimes call microgratitude or attentional training.
Attentional training. Okay.
Yeah, it's about deliberately noticing, say, 3 tiny things each day, things you usually overlook.
Like what, for example?
Could be anything, really. The warmth of your coffee mug in your hands, that sound of rain we mentioned, or just, how comfortable your favorite old shirt feels.
Okay, super simple things.
Super simple. The core idea is to actively retrain your attention. You're deliberately redirecting your focus through gratitude.
And what does that do biologically or mentally?
Well, the idea is you begin to sort of deactivate the neural pathways linked to rumination, negative self-talk, worry loops. And instead, you strengthen the pathways connected to positive emotion, empathy. It literally seems to soften the edges of your thoughts.
Soften the edges. I like that. By reducing the mental noise.
Exactly. Shifting your default perspective away from the negative or the lacking.
That idea of retraining attention, it makes a lot of sense. But you mentioned earlier that surprising link. How this could make challenging skills like language learning easier to hold on to.
Yeah.
How does just noticing small good things impact something so complex?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And the sources really do dig into that. There was one fascinating study highlighted in the material. It focused specifically on adult language learners.
Okay.
And it found that the students who regularly did these brief gratitude practices, like just 5 minutes a day, they didn't just report feeling significantly less anxious.
Which is huge in language learning.
Oh, totally. Anxiety is a major blocker.
Yeah.
But they also showed demonstrably better retention of new vocabulary over time.
Really better memory.
Yeah. And the sources suggest it's not magic. It's because gratitude seems to cultivate this state of presence. It reduces the cognitive load that comes from worry and self-judgment.
Ah, so it frees up brain power.
Exactly. When your mind isn't so bogged down by anxiety, by, am I getting this wrong, different, it frees up crucial mental bandwidth. And that bandwidth is needed for complex stuff like processing new vocabulary or tricky grammar. Makes it genuinely easier to hold on to.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about feeling better. It actually impacts how your brain functions, and that leads to real improvements. That's powerful.
It really seems to be.
Are there other methods the sources talk about beyond just the daily noticing for cultivating this deeper gratitude?
Absolutely. Yeah, beyond the daily noticing, the material also strongly advocates for expressing gratitude, even if it's just, internally to yourself.
How so?
Well, one way is gratitude journaling, actually writing down specific things you're grateful for. This seems to help solidify those positive emotional states, makes them more concrete.
Right, taking it from thought to paper.
Exactly. Or for maybe a deeper connection, there's the practice of expressing gratitude directly to others.
Actually telling someone.
Yeah, it's about externalizing that appreciation. One study showed that people who regularly took time to write or share specific thanks with someone who'd impacted them, they reported significantly higher levels of long-term well-being and less loneliness, too.
That makes sense. It builds connection.
Right. It's about building empathy, strengthening those social bonds, and both of these practices, journaling, expressing when you do them consistently, they really reinforce those positive neural pathways we were talking about.
So it sounds like these aren't just one-off things. They're practices that, when you build them into a rhythm, they start to have this incredible cumulative effect.
That's exactly the idea. It builds over time.
And that's really what the sources illuminate, isn't it? This buildup.
Yes, the long-term shift.
So bringing it all back then, what we've kind of learned today is that gratitude is this quiet kind of power almost.
Quiet power. I like that.
Something you carry inside,
Mm.
right? Often unseen by others, but felt deeply within you. It's not always about these big dramatic life shifts.
No, often it's subtle.
But more like deep, invisible changes that come from consistently, retraining your attention and expressing that appreciation. It softens the edges of your thoughts, like you said, brings color back to maybe gray feeling days, and helps you focus more on others, maybe less on comparing yourself.
Exactly. And this raises a really important question, actually. Where does true confidence come from? Whether it's learning that new language or just navigating life's complexities, the research seems to indicate it doesn't come from knowing everything, having all the answers.
Okay, so where does it come from?
It comes from being present.
Being present.
And here's the direct link back. When you're grateful, you're present.
Got it.
This state seems to cultivate a calming, centered energy. The sources even suggest that when you operate from this place of gratitude, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, is actually less active.
Less fear activation.
Yeah, which makes you genuinely less reactive, more empathetic, and it naturally fosters deeper trust in your interactions. It makes you, as the sources put it quite nicely, a safer person to be around.
Safer. How so?
Because you're approaching situations with more calm curiosity, maybe, less defensiveness, you listen better, you appreciate the small things people do.
Okay, I can see that.
And over time, the idea is you become someone who doesn't chase light, but creates it.
Creates light. Wow.
But, and this is crucial, it's important to remember, this transformation, it doesn't happen all at once. It's not like flipping a switch.
Right, it's a process.
Exactly. It's described as a rhythm. You practice, maybe you forget for a bit, life gets busy, then you come back to it. You notice something small, you pause, maybe you smile internally, and then you practice again later.
So it's okay to fall off the wagon, so to speak.
Totally. Okay, that's part of the rhythm. So even if your heart feels a little heavy sometimes, or you're feeling uncertain, that feeling itself is actually an invitation.
An invitation.
Yeah, an invitation to just pause and ask, okay, what's one thing I didn't notice before, but now I do? Maybe it's just the feel of a comfortable blanket, or the sound of the wind outside, or simply the steady act of listening to this conversation and noticing your own breath.
Finding one small thing, even then.
Especially then.
And the cumulative effect of sticking with that rhythm. What did the material highlight there? It's not a magic fix, right?
Definitely not a magic fix for everything, but the consistent message was, it won't fix everything, but it will change the way you move through your life.
Change how you move through life. It'll soften your thoughts, that cognitive pattern shift. Calm your nervous system, activating that parasympathetic rest and digest response. Improve your focus by cutting down the mental clutter. It might even help heal old wounds by allowing you to reframe experiences. make you easier to be around by boosting that empathy, and ultimately bring a more profound sense of inner peace.
That's a pretty powerful list of potential shifts.
It really is. So as you, our listener, go about your day, or maybe tonight, just before bed, here's a final provocative thought maybe to mull over from all this.
Okay.
Maybe you could whisper just a quiet thank you to the day, not because it was perfect few days are, right?
Right.
But simply because you were here for it. You experienced it.
Acknowledging presence.
Exactly. Just keep noticing, keep growing. And remember to stay kind to yourself on this journey. It's like the sources suggest. Your heart already knows this stuff deep down. Your mouth, your conscious mind, is just learning how to speak that language of gratitude.